There's a couple of versions of the story, but this is the version that I heard. It's even written, I saw it written even differently than I'm telling it now, but this is the way I heard the story. And you should know that all these stories that I'm telling you, they could be true. They could be true. But in fact, there's a story that I told about Mendel Futterfass, I told, and the relatives of the person that I told it to came to me and told me it wasn't, that's not the story at all. Yesterday, Veshetsky, they came and told me. I mean, he told the story the way he told the story. I cried. You know, the things that these people went through in Russian camps. I cried. He cried. He told the story. But after he finished, I said to him, "Listen, my version is better than your version." His was true. You know? 1 second, someone's at the door. 1 second, excuse me. Let's go this up. All right, here's the story. There was in Russia, when the communists just started taking over. So that was right at the end of the life of the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe Rashab passed away in 1920. And the communists officially took over in 1917, I guess, 1919. Well, the communist movement inflamed the hearts of all the people, especially the Jews. And there were thousands and thousands, who knows how many, of Jews that left Judaism totally because of communism. Communism was, it was going to accomplish everything that God promised and didn't come across with. It was the freedom and equality, the most wonderful slogans in all history, political history, came from communism. Convinced the people, inflamed everybody's hearts and souls that we're going to fix up the whole world and there's going to be justice and there was not going to be any more inequality and oppression of the masses, etc. All these wonderful things. Anyway, the Jews really fell for it. The Jews really loved it. We can see this in America happening now. Oh, this is wonderful. The government's going to take care of everybody. We won't have any more worries. So the Jews loved the idea. One of these Jews had been a Chabad Chassid, a young man. His father saw what was going on, and he pleaded with his son, please don't leave Judaism, don't leave God. His son just laughed at him and scoffed at him. Anyway, finally, however it was, his father kept nagging him, pleading with him and begging with him. And he finally said, okay, I'm willing to go. And he said, all I want you to just go into the Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Rebbe Rashab, Rebbe Shalom Dovber, just to go in for a minute, for 2 minutes, a second, just to go in to see the Rebbe. It'll remind you, that you're a Jew. Like we say, the king is in the field. So he said, okay, I'm willing to go in, but I'm only willing to go in if I take a couple of my friends with me. He had these wasted friends that were always. One of the big promises of communism also was that you're going to be free. There's no bad and there's no good. There's no, you can just, anything you want, you can do. So he said, okay. So they got really good and drunk before they went into the Rebbe. And they went into the Rebbe and they were all laughing and scoffing. As soon as they went in, his non-Jewish friends, they saw the Rebbe, they immediately sobered up. And him not. I think he was there with his father anyway. So he came and they stood in front of the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was just quiet. And they couldn't hold back their laughter, but the non-Jews, they were sort of, it sort of calmed them down a little bit. But he was defiant looking at the Rebbe. The Rebbe looked down, the Rebbe looked up at him, and he said in Russian, on, niet. Him? No. On means him. On? Niet. On? Niet. Him? No. Him? No. Him? No. And the Rebbe put his head down. That was it. That was the end of the meeting. They looked at the Rebbe, they looked at each other, they couldn't. They realized there was a serious place. They went outside and they burst out laughing. Onyet, this is a great man. This is a holy person. This is a leader of the Jews. That's all he could say. Him, no, Onyet. Anyway, this Jewish fellow, that really, sealed it for him. If he thought maybe somewhere down, in the corner of his mind, that there was something to Judaism, now he realized he was really right. There was absolutely nothing to it. And he rose up in the ranks of communism. It could be that the Rebbe Rashab already passed away. He rose up in the ranks of communism, and he became like a big, commissar or whatever, a big macher. And in the early days of communism, Stalin killed a lot of people. He killed a lot of people. And like after the war, he killed all of the generals. Anyway, exactly when this exactly happened, I don't know how many years it was, but one day he gets a letter that he should appear in the offices of the, GPO, KGB, whatever the secret police was there at that time, is the NKVD. They're different. I'm not really that up on my history, what exactly it was, Russian history. So he got a note that he has to appear in the offices for questioning. He knew what this meant. Questioning means you're finished. If Stalin had any doubts about anybody, and he knew all the names of all the people, as he had any doubts, that was it. You were either get killed or put in prison for a long time, usually the former. They say that there's this fellow, what's his name? Alexander Stalitsyn, he wrote a book called the Gulag Archipelago, that Stalin killed up to 50 million people. The moderate estimate says he did not kill that many people. That's Lashon Hora about it. He only killed 20 million people. In any case, a lot of people he killed. They would just take people out into somewhere and just shoot them in the back of the head. That was the custom, sport. So he knew that he was finished. So immediately, and he knew there's spies everywhere. Like 1/3 of Russia was spies. Everyone was spying on everybody else. So he left his house. He didn't take anything really special with him. Maybe a little bit of extra money or something. And he didn't take a suitcase, didn't take anything. He just left his house and took this old devious way or whatever. And however it was, he made it to the next town, to the next city. And from there, he took a walk to the other city until he was finally hoped that nobody would notice him. And where could he stay? He would go into shuls, and he would sleep in shuls, where he hoped that nobody would notice him. And meanwhile, he was getting thinner and thinner, and his clothes were getting more and more torn. And he was growing a beard. He didn't shave. And his appearance changed. And he was really hoping that would, be enough, that they wouldn't notice who he was. And so it went on for months and months, just running around from place to place. And the Jews felt mercy on him, and they gave him food and everything. And meanwhile, he's in the shuls all the time. So, they ask him, put on tefillin. He puts on tefillin. He starts to come back a little bit to Judaism. And he looks totally different. He starts to look like a religious Jew. He's got a beard, and he has this and that. I mean, it was very, very dangerous to walk around, but there was people with beards also at one. But he had lost, 30 pounds already, and his whole stature was different. He was all bent over. He was afraid, had a total fear on his face. Looked like a different person. One day it happened to be, it was a cold day, and he went into some restaurant and ordered like a cup of hot tea. He was sitting in the restaurant. It was sort of warm. And he was drinking this hot tea that and suddenly he noticed that there were 2 policemen at the window of this place looking at him, and they had a picture of what he used to look like. He was a wanted man. They had a picture of what he used to look like when he was, and they were talking to each other, and he realized that they were after him. So he didn't know what to do. If he got up and ran away, they would run after him. Then he would really be finished. They would shoot him without asking any questions. But if he sat there, they would. So he didn't know what to do. So he just sat there, tried to pretend there was nothing, hoped they would just leave him alone. Sat there. They came in the door, and one pulled out his gun, and they approached him. And he figured, wow, this is it. I'm finished. They could shoot him right there in the restaurant. All of a sudden, the door burst open, and came in their commander. And he starts screaming at them. Where have you been? You drunken bums. You fools. You have been drinking again. I can smell the vodka on your breath. Get out. They said, no, Commander, look. We caught this guy. We've been looking for him. We're good policemen. Look, we caught him. Look at here. The commander grabs a hold of this picture, and he looks at the picture, and he says, on him? Niet, this is not him. On? Points to the picture. Him? Points back. Niet. On? Niet. And he takes and starts hitting the two policemen, drags them both out. And suddenly this fellow, he realizes, whoa, this is what the Rebbe said. I don't know if the Rebbe saw this as a prophecy, or maybe because the Rebbe said it, he caused it to happen. But nevertheless, I see that I was totally, completely wrong about two things, about what communism is and about what Judaism is. And he returned back to Judaism. I think he went to the previous Lubavitcher. I don't know exactly what happened afterwards, but he returned to himself. So this shows an example of prophecy in our days. Have a good day, everyone. 3 o'clock, please. 3 o'clock. We'll learn Chumash.